This episode of Trailer Island contains spoilers. Enjoy.
Welcome to the Trailer Island podcast. I am your host, Alex, and I'm joined by...
I'm so thirsty, Steve.
And Williams. Matthew Williams. Couldn't resist.
Oh, I
couldn't resist.
See what
foreshadowing.
See what
That's the best intro we've ever had.
I saw what you did there.
All right, we can go home now.
Great. Well, we've been the Trailer Island podcast. We'll see you next week.
All right.
Nah, you've got us for the next half an hour, more or less.
Lucky you.
On the Trailer Island...
Trailer Island podcast.
That was really good.
Would you like me to do the intros?
Yes, please.
All right, so welcome to the Trailer Island podcast. We've already introduced ourselves, which is wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
We are going back in time again this week, aren't we? Not as far as 1954, but back to 2012.
Yeah.
I'm very excited about this episode, I have to admit, because I'm a bit of a super fan of this franchise. So this should be very fun for me, and maybe quite laborious for you too. So we'll see how we go.
I think we'll be. I think we'll be okay.
Have you been able to develop the time technology anymore, or are we still...
The investment that I made into this particular form of transport is significant.
Ooh.
And so for the foreseeable future, and in a ways past, I guess, because it is a time travel.
Time is fluid.
But Steve, of course, what mode of transport is it?
I believe it's a boat. A tugboat?
Yeah, and so it what does it do?
It goes backward in time?
And what is that? What do we call it? If you name it, you will summon it.
God damn it. Time tug. I can't drink vodka martini anymore. I get seasick.
We need to fire that captain.
He's doing all right.
He's still with us. That's impressive.
He's recovering alcoholic. I'm glad we're giving him a job.
Recovering.
Matthew, I think you're in love with this film the most.
I'm in love with this franchise and just everything about it. So I would love to introduce and say the name now of this film to you all.
This week's film is Rear Window.
We have gone back to 2012 to one of the biggest blockbusters of that year, and indeed the last perhaps 20 years, excluding maybe Avengers. We're doing Skyfall.
It's gone.
You both know what's at stake here.
There isn't much road left.
Take the bloody shot. What do you say about a man like that?
3 months ago, you lost the drive containing the identity of every agent embedded in terrorist organizations across the globe.
007 reporting for duty.
Where the hell have you been?
Enjoying death.
I only have one question. Why not stay dead? There's no shame in saying you've lost a step.
They weren't targeting her. They wanted her to see it.
Welcome to the new MI6.
I'm your quartermaster. You must be joking.
Author PPKS 9mm short. It's been coded to your palm print, so only you can fire it. Less of a random killing machine, more of a personal statement.
Q.
007.
I want to meet your employer.
How much do you know about fear?
All there is.
Well, not like this.
Just look at you, chasing spies, England, MI6.
She sent you after me knowing you're not ready, knowing you would likely die. Mommy was very bad. The two survivors, this is what she made us.
Everybody needs a hobby.
So what's yours?
Resurrection.
Oh, it still gives me tingles. As we were listening to that, Steve did lean across and say that I made a bold claim about the biggest blockbuster thing. But I'm going to stand by that because I think this film is absolutely incredible. I don't care what your science or box office numbers have to say about it.
I don't care about the numbers, damn it.
This film is absolutely fantastic. So this is the third Daniel Craig James Bond film following Quantum of Solace and Casino Royale. Mm-hmm. And it was the film to celebrate the 50th year of James Bond in film, and it was quite a celebration.
Starring Albert Finney, of course.
Yes, he is in.
He's
yes,
the
he
most
is in
important
it.
character.
Yes,
he's in there.
Fun fact for you: they tried to get Sean Connery for that part, but I'm fairly sure Sean Connery told them where they could stick it. I'm pretty sure.
That's harsh. That's harsh.
Casino Royale is by far the best Daniel Craig Bond film, and potentially the best Bond film ever made. Potentially, arguably. However, this film, I feel, catapulted Daniel Craig's Bond to even greater heights than I think he'd already achieved.
I recall it being quite the film to be discussed at the time.
It was
like the groundbreaking film techniques.
Yeah,
and
a lot of
such.
buzz.
And I'd completely forgotten that it's basically the team that made 1917.
Before. Yes, the time tug. They made this first. Time must go in a straight line.
Just want everyone to be aware we've got Matt strapped in like Wolverine in Days of Future Past right now. He's having a bit of trouble.
Yeah, no, I get
So 1917 came out in 2020.
Correct.
And
this film came out 2012. So if for those of you playing at home, this film came out first. But yes, it is the same team. It's Thomas Newman did the music, Roger Deakins. Sorry, I apologise for my behaviour tonight. Sorry, I'll start again. Thomas Newman did the music for this along with Roger Deakins. Sam Mendes has directed. Same production designer. I forget his name. Dennis somebody. I forget his name.
So it wasn't Dennis Leary, that's for sure. Because he's an actor.
No.
That's the only Dennis I know.
No, not him.
Thank you for your input, Steve.
That was great. Thank you for confirming.
You're looking to me for an answer.
But I think this is another brainchild, I think, of Sam Mendes, who this is the first Bond film he directed, but he's a self-confessed super Bond fan. So I think him doing this film was a bit of a treat. I mean, he did too. He did Spectre after this as well. And you can feel the love in this film, even like from everyone. Everyone clearly loved being in this.
Did they come to Sam Mendes and say, you are doing Skyfall? Or did they go to Sam Mendes and say, we want you to make a Bond film?
From what I've heard, and again, I've only read this on the internet, but from what I've actually heard is Daniel Craig asked Sam Mendes personally when he was drunk.
Right.
And Sam Mendes said yes.
Isn't it amazing how contracts work in Hollywood?
Yeah.
If I signed contracts, like if I made the deals while I was intoxicated, life would be exactly where it is right now.
That's how this podcast formed.
In terms of the overall franchise, having been running for 50 years, Casino Royale, Daniel Craig's first film, was a bit of a reboot. Really, they sort of go, okay, we're starting again, and that gave them this opportunity to suddenly reintroduce all these beloved characters as the films went on. Because the Daniel Craig tenor, unlike the others, have been quite serialized. They do kind of lead into one another to a certain extent. So in this film, the big deal really was we suddenly had reimagined versions of the Q character, the Moneypenny character, and also I would suggest the melodramatic Bond villain comes back in this for the first time.
I disagree.
Mads Mikkelsen is great in Casino Royale, but he plays a realistic baddie. Whereas,
I would have said Raul Silva is also a realistic baddie.
Oh, he's great. I'm not saying he's like...
I definitely don't think he was cartoonish.
He's not Goldfinger or anything like that, but he's definitely... The way he dresses, they're trying to channel the more kind of flamboyant kind of Bond villain.
Didn't feel that way.
Oh, you're wrong, but that's okay.
Well, previously we had... the Bond franchise was a very campy, over-the-top franchise.
Not initially. Sean Connery's first few films are, for the time, quite restrained. It's really Roger Moore that really hammed it up.
Who had robot fingers in the first film?
Oh, yeah. No, that's a fair point. Bloody Dr. No.
Well, and then...
Him and his tarantula.
The Pierce Brosnan Bond, I guess, was a bit more of a serious take, potentially.
Yeah. GoldenEye was a very, sort of serious film.
Yeah, and it's such a wonderful film as well. But the Daniel Craig Bond is very... They know who he is. It's a very purposeful and dark series of films.
I think to be fair, the reason I absolutely froth over his interpretation of the character is being such a massive lover of the books, and I'm going to sound like that person, but being such a massive lover of the books, Daniel Craig and the writing team have gone, let's do that. You know, in the books, Bond is depressed and an alcoholic. And Daniel Craig suddenly goes, let's actually tap into that for once. Instead of going, oh, isn't he so suave having martinis? It's kind of like, no, he's got a problem and he's dealing with some stuff.
Yeah.
And I think the only other actor who got close to that was Timothy Dalton in his two very underrated entries into the series. But no, I love how across the 4 films Daniel Craig has done, from Casino Royale, you've started him out as this very vulnerable character. And you've seen him grow into that image of Bond that we know, especially in this film, Skyfall particularly, and then Spectre after this, they allow it to happen quite naturally. And I think that they played it patiently and it worked. They pulled it off. It worked.
At this point, we've seen Casino Royale and then Quantum of Solace.
Yes.
This is the third of 4 currently, with Skyfall and the next one being Spectre. Now, does this follow the books?
Casino Royale follows more or less the book.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's in a
But
modern
sorry,
setting.
I mean in terms of how they were released.
Oh.
The books themselves,
No.
do the films follow that in any way?
No. So Quantum of Solace is a title of a short story Ian Fleming wrote, but Skyfall, Spectre, and Quantum of Solace have an original story.
Yeah.
Right.
So Casino Royale was the springboard, which is very, very heavily based on the book, and is quite, despite being modernized, is actually quite faithful to the book. And then they've gone through and they've used that as a springboard and done their own thing.
And all those books were written by Ian Fleming, who is possibly more famous for Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
That's where I know him from, yeah.
That's
where I know him from.
Oh,
yeah.
you're doing this to spite me. Oh my! No, look, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang is great.
I saw that musical as well, by the way.
Yeah,
It's
so did I.
Fantastic.
It
It
was
was much better
great.
than Bond the musical.
Look, just because I haven't finished writing it yet doesn't mean it's not going to be good. No, Ian Fleming, famous for James Bond and Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, is quite. I think that's quite a legacy, really.
I think I know why Skyfall has the reverence that it does, and it has something to do with 2012, because 2012 was the year of England.
That's true. They hosted the Olympics, didn't they? Yeah.
It was, I think, like a Queen anniversary. It was.
It was a jubilee.
Wait, the physical queen or the band?
The actual queen.
Both. Will and Kate got married, and then they had the Olympics, and so everyone was sort of at this fever pitch of British mania.
And then also in the plot of this film, traditionally Bond goes across the planet.
He spends most of his time
because of the plot in this film. He spends a lot of time in London
and in Scotland as well,
and in Scotland.
Also, not Hong Kong, Macau, but Macau used to be a British colony, didn't it?
Yeah, I thought that was a really loaded question, the way you said that to me
I just
then.
thought
But
you
yes.
had the accent, you probably would know.
You are responsible for a lot of the
I think
overthrowing of the world.
as John Cleese once said, we must never forget those that fought so gallantly to keep China British.
Which Skyfall does, and pretty well as well. Talking about England, I do want to talk about set pieces for this, because I think Skyfall has probably some of my favourite set pieces
Absolutely.
of all the Bond films.
The way I would describe it is when you're a kid and you're playing with, your Hot Wheels cars or whatever, and you would do, and then there's going to be a digger on a train, and there's that kind of childhood but they pull it off, and you believe it. Like, he's holding back the train with a digger. I can see the logic in that.
It is such a fantastic opening scene to that film, which I just want to talk to the point of, in filmmaking, people think, it's such a wonderful film because it's doing all these things. Well, actually, no, it's just telling story really well.
Yeah. It is, yeah.
And when the very start of the film, you enter the film in the middle of something happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're entering with the characters. Something has already happened. And in this case, where there's been a failed transaction over what will cause the plot of the film to develop, is that this hard drive has been stolen, which we hear about in the trailer, that it contains all the
NATO agents
who are embedded in secret identities around the world, and they are at risk of being divulged. And can I just say that the trailer in this, I do not like it.
I know where you're going with this, because being someone who was, ask anyone who was sort of hanging around with me at the time, scrounging for scraps of information on the internet about the production of this movie. And then obviously the trailer comes out, and there's something that they put in the trailer, which is Bond being shot off the train, which really annoyed me. It is in the pre-title sequence, but I thought, why would you ruin a surprise like that in the trailer?
So technically not a spoiler.
If you're going to do something as monumental as in your pre-title sequence, at least briefly pretend that you've killed Bond. Why put it in the trailer? Just leave it out. It would have been such a shock.
Okay.
I'm so angry.
There is that, but I also
years later,
I dislike the general structure of the trailer. I feel like it gives you too much.
Yeah, it's a
the
bit long.
music's a bit over the top. Yes, it does have that motif of Bond's music throughout it, but even then, I feel like it's really just in your face and check out. It doesn't have the pacing that the film does. I think it's the trailer in this case is probably the first time I feel is a really poor representation of the film itself.
I would agree with that. And I think to sort of think about what was happening with the Bond franchise at the time, I personally like Quantum of Solace, but a lot of people thought it was awful. And I think a lot of the marketing about this film was, okay, you didn't like Quantum of Solace because we've been accused of trying to do the Jason Bourne kind of thing. So let's give him a trailer that's, he's Bond, he's doing everything that all the Bonds that you've ever liked before is doing. I think that's why they made that decision. Right. Because you look at the marketing for Spectre and it's much more reserved. Well,
I mean, and as such, with the Skyfall trailer, when I'm watching that, I don't feel like anything's being given away in that regard. I'm watching a trailer for James Bond.
Oh, right. I really feel like it's a trailer for a James Bond film, but it's not a trailer for James Bond.
Yeah, I get what you mean. It's not classy enough,
it's a trailer for a Hollywood action film.
Yeah. It's funny. I wanted to talk about the teaser trailer. So we listened to one of the theatrical trailers.
Correct.
What I loved about that first teaser trailer is, so there's a scene in this film when Bond's been shot off the train and he's not dead, but they have to kind of re-educate him and train him up. And there's a bit where he's talking to a psychologist. They do a bit of word association. And the teaser trailer is...
I just dropped my phone.
What is the teaser trailer?
And the teaser trailer is basically that conversation and then just showing you one or two or three shots from the film. And I thought that was, it's not over dramatic. It gives you a little taste, but I thought it was a much better indication of we're going to really break Bond down and he's going to have to fight his way back up kind of thing in this movie.
I definitely do adore that teaser trailer. I really, really liked it. That is to say, my probably only criticism with the actual theater trailer was that it was too linear. I felt like it represented the events way too in sequence according to the film.
A really good point. I haven't thought of that before.
Yeah.
It is in the order that they happen in the film for the most part, yeah. It's a 2.5 minute version of the film.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And it's sort of just like, Bond's meant to be about mystery and intrigue, and this you're like, okay, whatever.
I do appreciate the fact that they do tease Raul Sylvia throughout both of the teaser and the trailer, because Javier Bardem's performance throughout the whole film is just superb. Like he's
a fantastic villain.
He is.
He's one of the. It's got that magic thing you have to have with a villain, which is you love to hate them, and he's got that. He almost steals the show, really, because you go, oh, he's on the screen. What quippy line is he gonna have? He's almost more. Well, it's part of his character because he used to be an MI6 agent, which I feel it isn't a spoiler. But he's almost as if he's Roger Moore's Bond, but in villain form. And I don't mean that in a derogatory way. It's like he used to be Bond, and then what happens in the film happens to him, and he becomes this twisted villain. And that's there's like an alternate reality version of Bond.
I hadn't considered that, and I really do appreciate it.
Yeah, I always love that about the character. I think that's why we don't see him till halfway through as well.
And what a fantastic reveal as well.
Yeah.
So his entrance
apparently
is just fantastic.
Apparently Sam Mendes spent a whole day just saying those lines to himself, walking up and down this big soundstage so he could get the measurement right. They could then build that set. So Silva comes in and has this speech, and it's timed perfectly for when he arrives at Bond in this chair. It's really cool.
And a brilliant chemistry with Daniel Craig as well. You don't often get a villain that has so much sort of back and forth and bounce with a villain.
That's the thing, that they're so obviously having fun, and I think they all are, because I think Ben Whishaw, who's playing Q here, wonderful actor. He and Daniel Craig together, and especially again in the follow-up Spectre, they have some wonderful scenes together. They're fantastic. Their banter is great. John Logan's script, he took over, I think, from Neil and someone else they wrote all the Pierce Brosnan films, and they wrote this first couple of drafts, and then John Logan stepped in and did his thing with it. I think his presence is throughout the whole script because it's a very John Logan script. But I think he is able to do those scenes in a very subtle way, and you never feel like you're being hit over the head with it.
It never feels like they're saying, look how clever we are by using this thing.
I thought that theme was heightened just around an environment that the film was, again, released in. Appreciating all this English history, and then you've got a Bond film that seriously examines old Bond versus new Bond.
Yeah.
I really, that's probably one of the highlights of thematic motifs within the script.
There are definitely more themes in this Bond film than any other Bond film. Like this, it's well put together. They had things to say, and they said them quite eloquently, really.
And because I'm not smart enough to think of it myself, I had to look up online about some of the themes that are in the film. But because I was particularly interested in the painting scene when he meets Q for the first time, and even the paintings in the background, there's one where people are observing this new world scientist performing an experiment on a mouse. and depriving it of oxygen, which is apparently an analog for Q in this new world where he is this brand new scientist, but he's now been transferred to the world of Bond, and it's two worlds colliding. But then there's also even when we see an assassination later in the film where this man sits in front of this painting, that painting that appears in real life was stolen and still hasn't been found a few years before this film was made.
I like that. That's a nice
So
touch.
there's references to the real world as well as it currently stands. Yeah.
Talking of relationships in this film, and there are many relationships, with past and in relationships with the people in his professional life, but I think the most important one, and we haven't mentioned it thus far, is with Judi Dench's M. And because this film really tips a hat to the mother-son relationship that and obviously that doesn't exist in the books, because in the books M is obviously a man, so they have a different relationship, but in the films she is the kind of mother character, and
Ralph Silver calls her mother like
and that's
times.
the thing. But and we were talking about things not being on the nose. Like there's a bit towards the end where he goes, mother's calling, but you go, I that doesn't make me cringe. That's a good line, because he says it with such menace. But Bond and M's relationship in this is the driving force, really, for me at least. When I watch this film, that's sort of the center of it. Judi Dench has more screen time in this Bond film than all of her combined screen time in her previous Bond films.
Really?
Yeah.
And do we make anything of her being in the Pierce Brosnan franchise as M2?
Okay. All right. I knew this was coming. So, Casino Royale is a hard reboot. They just decided to keep Judi Dench in because she's so good in the role, but it doesn't mean that she is the same version of M that is in the Pierce Brosnan films. She's a different... Yes, obviously she's playing... It's complicated, but no, they're not the same. It's a hard reboot. She has no memory of Pierce Brosnan. He's gone. He's out. He did his power air gliding on a wave, and we all forgot about him.
So she forgot about... her previous experience with that, or it just doesn't exist?
No, it doesn't exist. It never happened.
What a strange thing for...
It's stressing me out.
I just want
for Ian Fleming to have to write into his scripts that...
Ian Fleming didn't write the script. Stop doing this to me.
This is a film where I love to sit down and analyze what's going on in dialogue, and then what happens either before or after in terms of just character action. M reciting Tennyson during the parliamentary inquiry. But before that, she has to do a massive rationalization as to why the double lobe program exists in the first place. And then not 5 minutes after that happens, she has to go and demonstrate those words she's just said. The shadows exist. We hide in them for a reason.
Well, Bond proves her right, ultimately,
exactly,
doesn't he?
Yeah. They both escape into the shadows, and that's the only way they can bring forth this villain to defeat.
Before that final scene, how they get there, in possibly one of the coolest Bond moments is when they reveal the old Aston Martin.
Oh, yeah.
And the
fun fact for you, that alleyway is the same alleyway he drives it down in Goldfinger.
Okay.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah.
So they watched... Judi Dench must have remembered from... or was it M that remembered that happened? Sorry, Matthew. Please don't hate me.
This might be my last podcast.
So when they lift up the thing and you see the old Aston Martin, that beautiful silver
I suppose
thing...
that's completely inconspicuous.
No technology in it, so it can't be tracked.
Yeah.
And they have the awesome Bond riff.
Yeah.
Like it's been very orchestral up to this point. And music is a very big thing in the Bond franchise. But this beautiful big guitar sound as it's driving off.
They do use the Bond theme very scarcely in this movie, and I think it's because Bond is broken down, for want of a better phrase, at the beginning of this film. They don't use it until he's back up to where he used to be.
Which is, I guess, is a rebirth of his... It's like he's now at full power.
It is.
Driving track behind
Talking of rebirth, this film is bookended by Bond falling into water. And the idea is that it literally is a rebirth for him. He's at the beginning when he's shot off the train, and then at the end when he falls into the frozen lake. Yeah. And it's this idea that this film is literally him, being reborn and becoming a more relevant person.
I just don't know, at the beginning, he stands in the shadows. At the end of the film, he's in full sunlight.
Yes, up on the roof of the Union Jack.
See, this is what I'm talking about. Just those little bits you pick up on.
I love this movie.
That clever? Well, the classic, the Bond credit sequence at the start is I'm so glad that has been kept as a thing. They could have gone, no, we're going to break away from it. This is a new modern Bond. It doesn't need this. But no, they've held on to that classic.
Those sequences are amazing. And this film is no exception. It's probably one of the best they've done recently.
And the beautiful song by Adele with the Skyfall song, which is one of my favourite. I would argue I probably enjoy the Chris Cornell one.
Oh, You Know My Name. That's a great song.
That's
I love that song.
Fantastic
It
song.
is a great Bond song. It's good for Daniel Craig's Bond.
I'd like to refresh everyone as to Moneypenny's appearance, because that was one of the best guarded secrets of this film.
I definitely didn't see it coming. Yeah.
Unless you went and saw the film, you didn't actually know that Eve Moneypenny was going to make a return. You knew that Naomi Harris was going to be portraying
an agent
named Eve, but it isn't until the last 5 minutes where you go, Moneypenny's back.
It's a nice little treat, and it's right at the end of the film as well. And it's as she, takes up her position behind the desk. But what I love is they have modernized that character, and she can look after herself. And it's that as she sits behind that desk, it's like this is a temporary thing. If you need me to, I can come out into the field with you. And I kind of like that. They've improved the Bond Moneypenny relationship to more of a team kind of based thing, more than just Sean Connery coming in to flirt with her for 3 minutes. They've modernized it in a really nice way.
Can we give a quick shout out to Rory Kinnear, is it?
Yes.
Plays Tanner.
He was originally in Quantum of Solace as Tanner as well, so this is his second film.
He's been in 3 now.
He's now in 3, yes.
I think he's just a solid character / actor.
I'm glad
he's a guy. He's just he's part of the team.
Yeah, he's sort of M's kind of, if you want to say assistant. I'm kind of glad Tanner wasn't in a lot of the films, but in the books, he's described as being Bond's only friend.
He's a different actor in the Pierce Brosnan films as well.
I don't think he's in... No, he is.
He's in The World Is Not Enough.
He is in The World Is Not Enough.
And I think Tomorrow Never Dies.
But that's my point, is he's not in all of them.
Yeah.
He's a kind of overlooked character. But I think Rory Kinnear has really... It's a side character. He's never going to have like a big hero moment, but he's so, like you say, solid in the part.
Yeah.
And you can kind of go, I could imagine Bond and Tanner going to get a beer after work, maybe. You could.
He's a very reliable side character,
absolutely.
Isn't he? That I think that they would be in trouble if he didn't exist.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
We haven't mentioned Ralph Fiennes yet.
No. So
who's
now talking about the Moneypenny reveal, I have to admit that the rumor that I kept hearing was that obviously Ray Fiennes playing a lot of villains, especially Voldemort, most notably.
Bad, yeah.
Everyone was sort of going, is he going to be revealed to be Blofeld? Because I think when this film came out, Eon Productions, the company that makes these films, had finally won the rights back to use Spectre, Blofeld, that whole lot, because for a long time they weren't allowed to use that name because of reasons. So I remember it was a good bit of misdirection. I don't know if they put that rumor out there to hide the Moneypenny thing, is that he was going to be a villain. But he's not. He's actually a very wonderful, supportive character to Bond. And
his performance, the one thing that stands out is the physicality to it.
Oh, he's got a presence.
He's always standing out with like his belly out and like the suspenders as well.
He is. He's like that.
It's just wonderful.
He reminds me of the banker from Mary Poppins.
Yeah.
And in a good way. In a good way. Yeah.
I remember when I saw this for the first time, I was like he's clearly the villain.
Yeah, he's typecast, isn't he? He is typecast to be the villain.
And then that's thrown away as almost this wonderful father figure.
Yeah, I know.
Especially to Judi Dench's mother figure.
When you see when it progresses into Spectre, they run with that even more, and you go, I can't actually see him playing a villain now.
Yeah,
now he's this such a wonderful, supportive character. The cast in this is wonderful. It's I think it's one of those moments where the casting directors and the filmmakers and they have a list of everyone they'd want to play the parts, and they got all of their first choices.
There's the wonderful final sequence of this battle that happens between Bond.
Oh, yes.
And
Roger Deakins again. What a god of cinematography!
And isn't it? I always found it quite endearing that they come across Alfred Finney.
Alfred Finney, yeah.
And
Albert
Finney.
They come across Albert Finney, and he's the gamekeeper of the Skyfall estate, and it's just a fantastic sequence of.
Well, the Home Alone sequence where they're getting ready for the burglars to come over,
which I absolutely love. And I don't know that I've seen Judi Dench in an action sequence before.
No, I don't think I have. Yeah,
really wasting fools.
Yeah, I mean, it's designed to be that way, but I the first time I saw it, I was stressed. I was like, don't you dare touch a hair on her head.
And
you leave Judi Dench alone.
Leave her alone.
And I was genuinely stressed for the gamekeepers.
Yeah.
What's his character?
Kincaid. He's got the best one-liners in this film.
Yeah, he does. Bond out him have some really good lines as well.
Yeah.
My favorite. I almost don't want to, but it's so much fun.
Oh, it is.
Is they've just disposed of numerous villains, and his one line is, "Welcome to Scotland." I was like, and you can imagine if that was Sean Connery.
Yeah.
Would that have been like, they're doing the thing?
And that's the thing, like, it would have worked if it was Sean Connery, because he obviously would have aged enough that you wouldn't go, oh, that's James Bond. But I think, you just go, this is just an on-the-nose kind of, look, he's not James Bond, but he may as well be. We've just written him to be the same. So I'm glad it was, Albert Finney's a fantastic, he was. He's, past now.
Perished.
But he's a fantastic actor. He did really well in the part. It's a bit of a thankless part, really.
Yeah, he sort of appears at the end, but it's used perfectly for that. And there's all these things happening, and they're sort of like waddling through the scenes.
But I think it just adds to, don't you dare touch these sweet, sweet old people. How dare you even point a gun at them?
I was trying to rationalize it as well. I was like, maybe there's like a theory going around that, Emma's actually really alive and she's now married to Kincaid and they're like living happily ever after.
This isn't Moonraker. You don't have to be that ridiculous.
No, I would like to believe that Emma's still alive.
I hate to say it, because this film does make me sort of have a bit of a grizzle, but I'm afraid Judi Dench has perished in this film. Spoiler alert.
I can believe, though. I can.
She had a little cameo in Spectre. That was nice.
Yeah.
That was nice. Well, she was dead. How much could they use a dead character?
They do deal with the death of M in this film very well.
I
feel like it's handled so well, and that final sequence where it all unravels and it's such a beautiful final, I guess, a goodbye to a character, but again, a rebirth of another.
Well, we've done terribly with spoilers this week, but where she does get injured initially, and when I saw that, I thought, if they've already scratched her, they could go further. So, and I was already warm with fury, but it's happened now. 8 years later, and it still gets me. It's a really emotional.
It is very
end to that scene. Yeah, you're looking at me very condescendingly, Alex. I can't read your reaction.
No, I'm just sitting with a smile on my face at your enjoyment in the film.
I love this movie. It's
fantastic.
I can very easily sit down and watch. Over 2 nights go Casino Royale, Quantum of Solace one night, and then Skyfall, Spectre the next. They work incredibly well together. It's a nice journey for Daniel Craig's Bond. Talking of Bond, though, of course, No Time to Die, and talking of cinemas being shut, that's been delayed once already.
2021 now?
Likely to be delayed again now.
Yeah. I'm okay with that. I'm really. There's a lot of films that are being released via streaming at the moment, and I am really getting to the point now where I feel like I really want to see these films back in the cinema.
Okay, because I'm the opposite, and I might just be because I've been. I mean, as Steve is aware, because he had me in his ear all the lead up to No Time to Die's original release date.
Yeah.
Is how keen I am to see this. Is part of me goes, just release it on VOD and I'll just stream it. I'll pay for it and stream it.
Is that going to be Daniel Craig's last film?
It is his last film, yes.
I just want to say I don't think it's going to get released on VOD.
No, I know it won't.
It was like
it's one of the most expensive films I think they've made. They need to make their money back. But part of me is so, because the trajectory, especially from Skyfall through Spectre leading up to this new one, is so strong. It's like, I need to know how it ends.
It also gives Daniel Craig a good time to decompress from filming to release, because he usually gets pretty grouchy.
He's known to be a bit grouchy in interviews, yeah. I think he's a nice guy, but he gets a bit tired.
So maybe he can do one more film after this, now that he's had like a year in isolation. He hasn't had to do press junkets just yet.
That's true.
I fear that the shutdown might give filmmakers too much time to think.
No, the director
changing things.
No, the director has come out and said, no, the film is locked off. We're not touching it, because apparently, but they were happy with it in April when it was meant to come out, and said if we sat down now and started tweaking it, we would ruin it.
Yeah.
So they've said, no, we're locking it off. We're not going to touch it. We're just going to leave it. It's done. In a vault somewhere, we'll release it. It is meant to be quite long when it comes out. It's meant to
I
be
think that's okay.
And I'm more than happy with that. When the credits roll, I'll probably go, no, I want more. But yeah, I think it's up towards like Endgame length.
Well, Bond films are known for their post-credit sequences. So
you reckon Blofeld's, even though he'll probably just be a severed head by then, will go, I'm still alive! You know?
And it turns out it's Ralph Fiennes.
He's been him all along.
We've said enough about Skyfall.
I think this we've had words. This is the second film I think in a week where I think all of us like it quite a lot. Just to like really make it clear, when we agreed we'd do this, I didn't have to rewatch it because I know it off by heart. So I thought, yeah, great, I'll just turn up and talk about it. Fantastic. I think the other thing for me, just one last point before I will sort of start being quiet, is this film. It's a very small point, but one of the things I like about the first Jurassic Park film is it has that sunny vacation feel about it. Yep. And even though this film majority is set in rainy London, the pre-title sequence when they go to Macau, it has that feeling that all Bond films should, that is you're going on holiday.
Yeah.
And that's why this film, I think, has this other layer where you go, I can come home on a Friday night and just tune out for a bit. But also it's twofold because you can also engage with it. I've watched this film and bawled my eyes out because I get so invested in what's happening. And then other times you go, I'm going to sit down and put Skyfall on and I'm going to have just a good time. It's beautiful.
What should we give it out of 5?
Honey Riders.
No, that's fair because she comes singing up the beach, doesn't she?
She certainly does.
Yeah, in Dr. No. Perfect. If you don't know who that is, you need to go and watch Dr. No.
Honey Rider is the iconic bikini babe in Dr. No. The one that comes out of the ocean.
Okay, so we're objectifying women for our rating system.
Oh, well, now that you've said that. Well, how about 5 Bonds tied up into a chair naked like in Casino Royale?
What about 5 fake crocodiles? Because that's also a Bond thing.
It is, yeah.
What about 5 space battles?
Oh, God.
Oh, yeah.
I thought we'd get through this without having to... I know I mentioned it earlier, but without having to talk about Moonraker. Oh, my God.
Let's go with golden bikinis. How about that? Is that a very Bond...
That's very beach.
Or banana bikinis. How about that?
Sure.
Or shell bikinis.
Shell bikinis.
Shell bikinis.
Yeah, I'm down.
I look fantastic in a shell bikini.
We know.
Every morning.
I emerge from the cave. We're ready to go. Oh, boys, you like my shell bikini?
Oh, now you're doing your Bond villain impersonation.
Yeah, as well.
Come, Mr. Bond. You enjoy killing as much as I do.
5 from me.
You're giving it 5, Steve?
Yeah, still 5.
This film for me, it's a 5. I won't keep you all in suspense. But this film for me, nothing will ever eclipse Casino Royale for being the perfect Bond film. But this film comes damn close. Mm-hmm. And even though I adore Spectre, this film is better than Spectre is. So yeah, 5 from me. I love this film. I've probably seen it. I think I went something like 8 times to cinema to see this. Like,
wow.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I adore this movie. And I was the person who, when it was released on Blu-ray, I got a bus into the city just to buy it and then got the bus straight back and watched it immediately. Like, I love this movie. So yeah, 5 from me. It's long story short.
Okay. Part of me wants to go not 5 because both of you have given it 5. You know what I mean? But I don't think it's fair to...
the movie.
Despite that's how I've rated other things in the past. I've let external things influence my score about the film. You know, testament to it is I put it on the other night just to watch it, and I thought, oh, look, I'm just going to watch the first 5 minutes because I really love that opening chase scene with the motorcycles, which actually has an Australian doing the stunt double work.
Oh, there you go.
Robbie Madden doing the motorcycle stuff for James, or Daniel Craig in this case, wearing a Daniel Craig face mask.
Yeah, they're pretty freaky up close.
And that fantastic train sequence and all that. And maybe some of it I find... is it De Silva?
Yeah, Silva. Ralph Silva.
Ralph Silva. Some of the way that his plan unravels, I feel, in this Bond world, which is very, anchored in reality, feels kind of unrealistic.
That's true, and I think that's sort of them bringing a bit more of the Roger Moore elements back into play. In that his plan, if you look at it for a second, doesn't actually make sense, but you just go along with it because it's cool. You go, I'll pay it. That's fine.
I think if you're going to be critical about Ralph Silver's plan in Skyfall, you have to be critical about the Joker's plan in The Dark Knight.
Yeah.
They are both as absurd, but you can still enjoy it.
I think that's fair.
All films,
you need to suspend
they all require you to suspend your disbelief.
Yeah.
If you don't do that, you shouldn't like film.
No, that's very true.
If you want reality, film is not for you.
I guess there's a sense of comparing how much of the film wants you to suspend the disbelief.
Yeah.
How much it grains itself in reality versus how much it takes you out of it. You know what? All right, fine. I'll give it 5 as well. All right. That's fine. As long
Alex.
As long as I can keep time tug, I will give it 5.
You can keep tugging to your heart's content.
I accept these conditions.
Okay, wonderful. Well, would you like to add anything else, Matt, or should I cut you off now?
Oh, I think, look, I could go on, but This film is it's beautiful, and I love how over the 4 films Daniel Craig has done, and I'm sure it'll continue in the 5th one, he has an overriding character arc across the 4 films, also within the individual films. I think that's a very rewarding role for him. He's done wonders with what was once a very two-dimensional film character.
He has built it up to, I guess, what we all have sort of a golden standard for a modern Bond.
Golden eye for...
Oh, God.
Oh.
Yeah, got a pun in.
You can only live twice, Alex.
Let the sky fall.
No, we're not. If we get a copyright infringement for that, but
sorry.
I must admit it wasn't very accurate.
No.
I think we'll be okay. We've been the Trailer Island podcast this week, I guess. You can find us on trailerisland.com.au.
Absolutely.
There's a Facebook page, whatever.
And please send us through any requests you have. We love getting requests, and we love hearing from you, basically. Anything you want to say. Even if you say, do Spectre, that'd be great.
Yes, you can send us a request via the Facebook page or...
The
Twitter or the website, contact@trailerisland.com.au. You don't actually need to go via the website, but you can go via the website to contact us. Please head to Podchaser, a website that rates podcasts. Please give us a rating and a review. We would really appreciate it. And, well, this week I've been Alex. I've been joined by...
Matthew Williams.
Oh, God, I'm Stephen.
And I'm tired.
Get me off this island, please.
You're never leaving.
You're doing with me.
Go to bed, Captain. We've been the Trailer Island podcast. We love having you as an audience, and we thank you for listening to us. We'll see you next week on the next episode of the Trailer Island podcast.
Bye, everybody.
This is a Narrative Network podcast.